pick up the phone. To learn more about LightPath hosted voice, call or visit us online today.
Right now, a woman known as the Mistress in a murder case is about to be recalled to the witness stand. Gypsy Willis admitted carrying on a 15-month affair with Dr. Martin McNeil while he was married to his wife, who's now dead. The doctor is accused of forcing his wife to get cosmetic surgery, drugging her, and leaving her to die in a bathtub. After Michelle McNeil died, her husband hired the Mistress as a nanny, and not long after that, he popped the question. Dan Schorr is a former prosecutor. Heather Hansen is a trial attorney. Dan, I'll start with you. The doctor's accused of killing his wife to help cover up this affair, or so it would go on with this woman, Gypsy. Prosecutors want to call her back. What does that tell you about how she's done on the stand so far?
Well, I think it tells you that they want to end on the note of this woman, Gypsy, being on the stand so the jury remembers all the details of her prior testimony. The defendant here is accused of, after his wife dies, texting with Gypsy during her funeral and then sexting with her the next day, and then a week later having her move in, and then later creating fraudulent documents, one of which had he and Gypsy's fake wedding date be his wife's funeral date. So this will all be in front of the jury again, even if it's not explicitly stated again. It will bring that back from when they heard her testify earlier. The prosecution wants to end strong, and this is probably the best way to do it.
And Heather, from a defense point of view, you tweeted out not long ago, I'll share with our audience because I follow you on Twitter, you think the prosecution is hoping to finish strong with Gypsy the Mistress. Do you think the defense is in trouble with her on the stand?
You know what, Harrison, the first time that she was on, I don't think that she did nearly what the prosecution had hoped. And I think that they're feeling a little bit desperate today. So far today, they've put on another inmate of Dr. McNeil from state prison who testified that Dr. McNeil told him straight out that he killed his wife. And then come to find out he had immunity and he's got a whole lot of credibility problems. So I think that the prosecution is feeling desperate. I think by putting Gypsy on, they're going to go full force at her, whereas before they held back in the hopes that they can really tie this case up with a bow.
All right, I kind of want to pay attention to what's happening on the screen right now because this is a live look inside that Utah courtroom, and the man who's on the stand right now is one of the many inmate witnesses that the prosecution is calling. Dan, I'm curious. There's a long list of these inmates who are set to testify, and just to catch everybody up, the doctor did some time down in Texas for fraud, and that's how he crossed paths with some of these convicted felons. What's your thought on so many of them taking the stand?
Well, this is the first one who actually says that McNeil admitted to killing his wife. This inmate today testified that he saw McNeil wearing different shoes than everybody else, and he said, how come you have different shoes than the other inmates? And McNeil reportedly said, because I can get away with things. For instance, I got away with killing my wife. Now, whether that's true or not, the jury has to decide. Inmate testimony is always suspect. We know that he got at least some beneficial treatment from authorities in return for his testimony, and as Heather alluded to, he does have a criminal record. So it's unclear whether this will be persuasive, but it might help the prosecution.
And Heather, as we've been kind of listening into this trial during the commercial break, you could hear them doing that job that defense attorneys do, attacking this guy's character and staying away from what he might consider fact.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to attack, Harris. As a defense attorney, this is fun. You know, you really get to go after this guy. Because one of the things that he said on direct was, truthfulness is my strong suit. And then on cross-examination, you find out that he has sold drugs that he got from fake prescriptions, that he has had Rolexes that he has stolen and sold. So it's, you know, it's really, his credibility is really, really hurting. And I don't think the prosecution's really going to want to end with him, which is why Gypsy's so important.
All right, before we go, Dan, I want to get your thoughts on calling Dr. McNeil to the stand. We understand that when the prosecution rests, the defense says it has 3 more witnesses. It's possible among them, possible, we don't know, that the doctor could be one of them. Do you call him?
I would be shocked if he's called to the stand. He has this fraud conviction. He has so much strange behavior after his wife dies that he will be cross-examined slowly on bit by bit. His allegations, he might have tampered with evidence. He might have faked performing CPR. He could not withstand that cross-examination, and I don't believe he's going to be called.
And Dan Schorr wearing 2 hats there. What would you do if you were the defense? And then I know what you'd do if you were the prosecution, because you just said you'd tear them apart. Good to see you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some tiny tigers, just 13 weeks old. They are getting a big test today at the National Zoo. We'll tell you what these little guys are up to next.
If you're considering silver for your savings and retirement accounts, pay close attention to this amazing offer from Lear Capital. Now you can get $200, $400, up to $600 worth of silver.